Foreign military bases on the African continent, Africa as the stage for the world's militaries, and the new scramble for Africa for the last 20 years, a new geopolitical dynamic has been quietly unfolding across the African continent, a strategic re-engagement by the world's major powers. This isn't colonialism, but a contemporary scramble for influence symbolized by a rising number of foreign military bases. From the strategic shipping lanes of the Red Sea to the resource-rich Sahel, global powers are establishing or expanding their footprints. This presence is a double-edged sword. It offers help in fighting insurgency and piracy, but raises profound questions about national sovereignty, Africa's role as a battleground for outside interest. Of course, the traditional Western powers like the longest standing presence are of the United States and France. The United States maintains its largest and only permanent base in Africa at Camp Lemonnier in Djibouti. This installation, home to over 4,000 personnel, is the nerve center for the United States Africa Command, AFRICOM operations, primarily focused on counter-terrorism missions against groups like Al-Shabaab in Somalia and Al-Qaeda in Yemen. Its strategic location near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a vital choke point for global trade, makes it indispensable for securing international shipping. France, the former colonial power, has maintained a significant footprint across West Africa, particularly in the Sahel, like Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, through bilateral agreements with its former colonies. Their initial mission, as they portrayed it to be, was to bolster local armies and fight jihadist groups. However, their presence has become increasingly controversial, often accused by local population and new military governments of propping up unpopular regimes or failing to deliver decisive security victories, leading to recent expulsions from several countries. And of course, the strategic horn and rising players, the most competitive area on the in Africa, anchored by the tiny nation of Djibouti. It is arguably the only place on earth that hosts bases for the United States, France, Italy, Japan, and most critically, China. China established its first and only overseas military base in Djibouti in 2017, while officially a logistic support facility for anti-piracy operations and peacekeeping. Its immense size, dedicated naval pair capable of hosting massive warships and advanced fortifications signal a clear intent to project power and protect its multi-billion-dollar Belt and Road Initiative investment across the continent and the Indian Ocean. Russia's presence is less about conventional bases and more about a military business model through its state-affiliated security personnel, rebranded as the Africa Corps. Russia offers military support, regime protection, and training to African governments, often those facing Western isolation, such as the Central African Republic, Mali, and Sudan. In return, Russia and its linked companies gain privileged access to valuable mineral resources, including gold and diamonds, and have sought naval logistic centers such as one planned on Sudan's Red Sea coast. The stakes and sovereignty, the question to be answered is, why Africa? The foreign military presence is driven by three main factors: counterterrorism, the sustained threat of jihadist groups in the Sahel and the Horn. Second is geopolitical competition, the intense rivalry between global powers like the United States and Europe and China and Russia for influence and control over the next century resources and trade routes. Third is economic security, protecting strategic shipping lanes like the Suez Canal approaches and securing extractive industry investment. The presence is a major source of controversy. While host nations like Djibouti profit handsomely, earning hundreds of millions in rent, critics argue the bases undermine African sovereignty, distract from building stronger African regional security mechanism, and risk embroiling African nations in global conflicts that are not their own. The African choice is today, of course, the map of foreign military bases on the continent is a clear reflection of a multipolar world. Africa is no longer a passive recipient of foreign policy. Its leaders are actively engaged in what is often called small state diplomacy, negotiating with multiple world powers to maximize economic and security benefits. The ultimate challenge for the African Union and its member states is to move beyond being a stage for global rivalries and instead leverage this external interest toward strengthening their own security and economic independence, ensuring that these foreign outposts serve African priorities first. The future of stability on the continent rests on the continent's ability to navigate this complex web of alliances and maintain its strategic autonomy. Finally, the question is the monetary benefit worth the impact of any African country playing host to any foreign military? Leave your comments below. Thanks.